Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most anticipated mainline figures of the year. That is the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Commander Class Rodimus Prime. So let's go ahead and take a look at that box as we always do. So right up there at the top, you have Rodimus Prime. You have some great artwork right there on the front. Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron. Here you have that Kingdom artwork. On the back, you have the product shots, and he does come with a plethora of accessories. This isn't even close to everything that he comes with. And you have his bot mode, you have his car mode, you have his super deluxe Winnebago mode, and then you have the battle Winnebago mode. And you have all your warnings down here. You do have the Commander Class baby, so that's always a welcome sight. And here we have a little more artwork on the side. He is a Commander Class. Up top, we have the Autobot symbol, Transformers War for Cybertron, WFC K29. And on the bottom, you have your manufacturing information. So that is it for the outside of the package. Let's go ahead and dig in and find out what came in that box. Alright, so this is everything that came in the box with Rodimus Prime. So we'll start as we always do with our little sheet of warnings. So there it is. And then we'll take a look. We did get a sticker this time around. It is the Autobot Arc. And you get your instruction manual. And then you get all the rest of this. And for the most part, guys, this is glorious. So let's go ahead and start with these. These are painted flame effects for the sides of the trailer. And we'll take a look at that when we get it into vehicle mode. So there you go. Next up, we have the burst effect for the Matrix when he opens it up to light our darkest hour. Next, you get his rifle. I think it's pretty good looking. It's just black molded plastic. There's no paint on it, but it looks pretty good. And it does fold up for weapon storage. You get this sword, which really looks good. It's good detail in there, and it does have this little notch right here, or this little peg that comes out, so you can peg it in anywhere you want it. We'll see that later as well. Then you get his roller, or whatever you want to call it. So this is the cannon that goes into his trailer. It does have a couple of little flak walls right there to help guard whoever is firing it from oncoming fire. And it has handles up here that are movable. And it goes up, it goes down, it goes around, and then down here at the base, it will go that far, and it will go that far. And it's not on wheels, it's just the plastic, and then you do have a peg right there to peg it into the trailer and keep it secure. So overall, not a bad accessory. And then you fold it up like that when you put it in the trailer. And I do like this effect up here where it looks like it's been firing, so it's black from all the carbon. So nice job on that. And then we get to the trailer itself. Now the trailer itself, there's a lot going on here. So starting right here, you do get a good amount of effects parts. Nice blue effects parts. I like what they've done here with this blue plastic. So very much like what you would see with Omega Supreme, with Jetfire, with Skylinks, only molded in blue. So you do get 1, 2, and there's a little bit of the black paint that came off of these when it was packaged up. I think the paint was still wet, so just something to be aware of. That's what that is. So anyway, you do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blue effects, and then 2 of those. So for a grand total of, for those of you counting at home, a grand total of 9 effects come with Rodimus Prime, and of course it's fully interchangeable with any other figure that has a 5mm port, so feel free to use them on any figure that you want. And then looking at the trailer itself here, this is all opened up and you can see, goodness gracious, look at all those 5mm ports. Just think of what you could do with all of that. Now, personally, I think this is overkill on the 5mm ports. It would have been nice to maybe have had a cleaner look on this trailer, but you have options. So there you go. And you have the ability right back here to fold this piece in. You've got a little storage cubby right there. You can close that up. And then back here, you have your ramp. And this closes up right there, and then this will close up. Give that a little bit of a push. And it'll click in place. And I like what they've done back here. This is a nice effect where you have this that opens up, and you have these little the struts back here. So it gives the illusion of holding that up with the struts. Now, you can't really do a whole lot. I mean, if you have this down like that, oh, careful, Rodimus. So if you have that down like that, you could, in theory, you know, roll one of his teammates up here and have a little bit of play like that, but this doesn't, so it catches. So you're not going to put it in that way, which is unfortunate, but still a nice effect, and I like what they've done here. So if you close all that up, of course that makes the rear, and then in traditional Rodimus Prime fashion, give that a close, snap everything in, and there you have his trailer ready to be hooked up to himself and ready to go. Now, as far as these flame effects, you can bring these flame effects in and plug them in, and then you have some nice black smoke coming out. So you know, for those of you who are diesel enthusiasts, I guess you could be rolling coal. So maybe Rodimus is a diesel powered Autobot. It's always a possibility. And you can put those on both sides if I get them oriented correctly. You can have something that looks like that. Now, as far as the little bonus on this trailer, if you look underneath, you have this little tub down here, and you have additional storage. And this additional storage is actually used to store specific items. So his matrix burst, for example, if I can get it in there on camera, stores in right there. So nice little extra storage that you have down here, and once you get your hands on a copy, take a look, see all the different ways that you can store things in there. You know, if you did just want to throw stuff in there loose, I mean, go ahead, right? Anything that fits, throw it in. Throw it in. Throw it in. I don't think it's all going to fit. Anyway, I think that's a clever little use of space on that trailer. Now, to use his roller, you simply pop him open, and roller has, down here he has this little peg. So if you pull that little peg out, put it right here in the center, give it a little push, and make sure you have everything lined up nicely. I've noticed on my copy that he has a tendency to not want to close all the way. So whenever I get him lined in up here, so you can see there's a notch right here, and I'm just lining it up to the tab on that back of roller, trying to get him lined up there. It's secured in place, but he's still popping up just a little tick on me. So when I close him up, I get a bit of a gap. So I guess it's probably just a tolerance issue, but it sure would be nice if I could have that trailer stay closed all the time. But there you go. Hopefully that won't be the case on your copy, but there you have it. All right, so that is, in a nutshell, that is everything as far as the trailer and the additional effects go. So let's go ahead and move this on out to the side, and we will bring Rodimus in for his close-up, because you actually do have one more accessory, and this is maybe the best one of all. It never gets old for me. I love it. Let's go ahead and jump to it. Oh yeah, look at that. He does come with the Matrix. So very cool. All right. So let's look at that head, shall we? And this is a good head sculpt, but he looks old. I mean, this is almost reminiscent of Cup to me. It's just, He's a little too baggy under the eyes. I know being a leader takes a toll on you, but he looks like he's ready for a vacation. But the head sculpt, the paint work and the sculpt and everything else is actually really nice on this. He just looks a little older than what I would have thought he was, but that's okay. All right, and then coming down here to that chest, I really like what they've done here with just making that angled. And then you've got those headlights down there. All that detail in the crotch, and then that orange on these legs. And you come down and you've just got the black molded plastic for the legs down here. Good amount of detail in there though. It's not too busy. It's just enough to make it look very mechanical, and I like that. Now over here on the side, you can see back here, this is where a lot of the vehicle mode tucks away. And you've got nice molded in detail here. And you come up here and look at that. He doesn't have any hollow areas. Also another plus. I do very much appreciate that. And this backpack, it compacts up very nicely. So he's relatively slim. And I think that's looking pretty good. Now as far as the arms go, he does have articulated hands. This is great. The thumbs are not. And then he has the typical index finger is articulated independently from the other three, and then the other three just have a knuckle right there, and then the knuckle at the base of the hands right there. So really good to see. Nice detail going up the arm. Those exhaust pipes look great. And from the back, even from the back, this figure looks good. There are no major hollow areas on him except for right back here by the legs. But even that, it's not bad. And this is just the overall presence and build of this figure. It's very reminiscent of a masterpiece. And at engineering level, I feel the same way. I mean, this is almost, just this figure alone is almost masterpiece level. So, job well done on the engineering and design for this figure. Now, as far as articulation is concerned, that head is on a ball joint, so you do get a good amount of side to side, and you do get some up and some down, and then you have an additional joint down here where you can pull his head back and get some good range of motion there, and then bring his head forward and he can kind of look over his chest, and you can take it all the way around if you choose to do so. Here at the shoulders, you do get a butterfly joint, so you can go forward a little bit, back a little bit, and then you can bring those shoulders up, and if you pull them out like this, you can bring them up a little bit more, and if you want, you can go, ooh, Frankenstein, ooh. If you want to do that, let's pretend that never happened. And you could take those all the way around. Just be mindful of his wing back here. And at the elbow, you do have a double jointed elbow, so you can get a fantastic elbow bend out of this guy. You do also get bicep rotation. And then down here at the hands, you do get great range of motion at the hands, so you can actually swing those hands in a little bit and you can turn them. And then down here at the fingers, as we mentioned earlier, you do have that index finger, which is independent from the other fingers. So you can get him in the traditional kind of pointing the finger. This is the end of the road, Galvatron. Kind of that thing. Still one of my favorite lines. And let's go ahead and get the shoulders out of the way. He does have waist rotation. And he does have hip skirts. So this is nice too. So those hip skirts will hide all of this. So that's very much appreciated. And at the hips, this is a mediocre split. This is the best he can do. Now, it's 99% of the time this is going to be fine. So I'm not complaining, I'm just making a note of it. And he can kick forward that far. And here's maybe the weakest point of articulation in the figure. He can only kick backward that far. So that's pretty weak. It would have been nice if you could get a little bit more out of him, but it's still not going to stop you from getting him in some great poses. He does have thigh rotation, and down here at the knees are double jointed as well. You just have to be a little tricky with them, so You get a bend there, but if you bend up here first, then you can really get a really good knee bend out of this guy. So good articulation there at the knees, and then down here at the feet, he does have independent, he does have an independent toe, which is what I was trying to show you. So you can, and it's nice and stiff, so you can use that for posing as well. And the foot will go back that far, it will go forward that far, and if you disconnect this and get it out of your way, if you need it for posing, you can actually take that foot a little further back. So you can actually get the foot back about that far if you wanted to do that. And then you do have ankle tilt, so he can tilt out considerable ways. It would have been nice to have some filler right in there instead of a gap, but it's still good to have that ankle tilt. So yeah, the overall look of this guy is just, for a mainline figure, yeah, he's a Commander class, but still for a mainline figure, the look and the engineering and the articulation on this guy is near masterpiece level. So very well done on this figure. Before we get him transformed into his futuristic Winnebago, let's go ahead and talk about the accessories, put some accessories on him, and talk about effects in this mode, so that way I don't forget it later on in the review. So of course, with his rifle, this is pretty common, I would think. No big surprises there. Hold his rifle, he can pew pew and pow pow all day long. He does have that second spot right there where you can give him the, of course that's not the best pose in the world, but you can have him using both hands to hold that rifle if he wants to take a shot at somebody. And he does come with that wicked cool sword, so you can have him wielding a sword. Pop that in, wrap the fingers around, and then there he is with that sword, and it looks fantastic. I think he looks great with that sword. So he does have that ability as well. Now, as far as the weapon storage for these weapons, you can store both in robot mode. The sword is super easy. You just have this port back here. You pop your little peg out, and there you go. And that just looks cool. You know, anytime you can have a figure with the sword slung on their back, like they're just going to reach right back there and grab it and do some damage, I think it's a great look. So, yeah. And with the rifle, you fold the rifle up, give it a little squeeze right there. And on the sides of the figure, it doesn't matter which side, either side, you have these ports. You can plug it in, and there you go. Now, obviously, you can reverse these if you want to do so. You could have the gun on the back and the sword on the side. This is just the way the instructions show it, and this is the way I prefer it. I think he looks way cooler with a gun on, or a sword on his back than a gun. So, and these are FX compatible, as you may have guessed. Well, the sword is just a sword, but the rifle, there you go. I think that looks pretty darn cool. And now this is going to be the bit of a struggle, and I'm not going to get it perfect, but let's go ahead and take that matrix out. Close that back up. He can hold the matrix, and you can put the effect on it. So I'm going to try and get that on there, and if I struggle with it, then what I'm going to do is probably do a quick edit so I can get it set up properly so you guys can see it without watching me struggle and wasting time on this review. Alrighty, so there you go. There you have Rodimus Prime lighting our darkest hour with the Matrix. So let's move on to the rest of the effects now. Go ahead and take that from you. Thank you, sir. Alright. Now, he does have the ability to take fire if you want him to do so. I mean, you can use this port back here. Oops. You can use this port back here if you want to see him taking some fire. And he is rocket boot compatible, so if he is flying off somewhere, you can have some of that going on as well. And then he's taking the big shot in the back. The shots in the back are always from Starscream. Just remember that. If there's ever a shot in the back, it was Starscream. Alright, so if we bring in his trailer, since we're doing this, we'll do the effects here with the roller. Open that up. I'm going to go ahead and take these effects off. And pop this down. There we go. Move that sword out of the way. And then we will raise roller up. Pull these out. And we will take Rodimus, we'll lift these little handles up, put his hands on the handles. Do the same thing over here. Maybe angle it up a little bit so it looks like he's shooting off in the sky. And then we can give it a couple of boomers. So if you want to do something like that, or if you want to use a different one and make it a bigger boomer, and do something like that, there you go. Coming right at you. So yeah, very cool, very cool. Alright, so to get Rodimus Prime transformed into his vehicle mode, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come here just under the forearm and we're going to pull this flap right there. That's going to allow us to open this up, and then we're going to rotate that exhaust 180 degrees. When we do that, you got a tab here, it's going to fall right into his hand, and then this little flap right here, you're going to rotate that 90 degrees and you're going to bring that up. So you should have something that looks like this. And we'll do the same thing on the other side here. So we're going to pull that down, open this up, rotate it 180 degrees, bring that down into the fist, rotate that, and lift it up. Alright, so you should have two arms that look like that. Next thing we're going to do is turn our attention to the legs. So back here on the backs of the legs, you're going to open this flap up right here that's going to expose a lot of the car right there. So give this a little bit of a pull, and that's going to pull that vehicle tire out. Now when you do, I hope I can show this on camera, you have a slider. This wheel is on a slider. I'm trying to find the best possible view. It's not the easiest thing to do. So you have a slider right here, and when you pull the tire out of the calf, or pull this assembly out, you want to grab this and you want to pull that out so that wheel comes out a little bit further. Okay, so when you're transforming him into robot mode, push this down and make sure that this wheel is recessed into this assembly. When you're doing vehicle mode, make sure that that wheel is pulled out of that assembly. All right, once you do that, you're going to leave this open, pull his foot down so it's out of the way, and then you have these double jointed knees, this double hinge in here, and you're going to bring that down and give that a squeeze as such, and then you're going to bring this flap back over, and it's going to there's a tab and a slot, and they're just going to fit right into each other right there. And then turn your attention down here to the toe, close that toe up, and you have one of the legs done. We'll do the same thing on the other leg here. Open this up, pull this out, and when you do, be sure to pull that tire out. So pull it out like that, and then move this foot out of your way. Bring this down on that double hinge, and then close this up, and then that'll tab right into the back of that wheel, and close up that toe. So now he looks like a really short version of Rodimus Prime. So there you go. Now for the backpack, be sure to take these flaps right here and bring those out, because there are tabs and slots right there, and that's going to hold that backpack in place. But if you pull those, that gives you the ability to bring this backpack out and flip that around 180 degrees. And for now, you're just going to ignore this. You just wanted to get that out of your way. And right here, in this gray area right there, you're going to give this a pull, and that's going to disconnect that entirety of the backpack, or what is now the top of the car, and get that out of your way. All right. So once you've done that, now you can bring this assembly forward like that and get that out of your way, because the next step that you need to do is you need to rotate your arms. So lift them up like this. So right here on this mushroom joint, you're going to rotate your arms 180 degrees. Okay? And then give these a pull. You're actually going to pull these out. So you should be able to see the black plastic right here. When you do that, now you're going to move those out of the way. You can bring that head up as such, and you can kind of see what's happening here. And then right down here, you have these little flaps for the tops of the car. Take those flaps out, and that'll actually finish out the front of the car, not the tops of the car. So that'll finish that out. And then you can, this is on a double hinge, just bring that forward. And now you're really down to just aligning everything. So start bringing those arms in. And before I do that, let's turn that waist 180 degrees. It helps to have all four wheels in the same orientation. Definitely helps a vehicle roll. All right, so bring those down. And this is just, well, I don't want to say it's cleanup mode, but it's tab alignment mode and bringing everything in. So you have on the backs of this, you have a couple of tabs, and then you have those slots right there. So when you bring this down, you're going to capture those tabs in those slots, and then you have tabs right here that you're going to capture in these slots when you swing those around. So that's going to capture the rear of the car for you. So give those a squeeze. They line up pretty well, actually. Not a lot of complaints there as far as alignment. And then the rear of the car is, for all intents and purposes at this point, it is locked in. So now it's just a matter of getting these lined up. So you have slots there, tabs there. Give them a push. And then you're going to align your exhaust. So it's a matter of getting all of this lined up. And actually, what I should have done is, and I think I will, is lift this up so I can get my exhaust aligned. And then I will have these little tabs right here that will fall right under this section. All right, there we go. Now we got it. And then close these tabs up and squeeze all this together. And you know, I've transformed him a few times, and even out of the box he wasn't perfect. So there's a little bit of a gap right here. There's not much that I can seem to do about it. It's not awful. I've seen worse gaps on other vehicles, but it is there. So just give everything a good squeeze. And then the last step that you have to do is you have to adjust these wheels. So it's kind of a clever little thing that they've done here for the robot mode. So if you give these wheels a pull, and then they open up like that, and pull them down and squeeze them back together, now they're free rolling. Here they're stiff, but undo that, pull it down, squeeze it together, free rolling. So I think that's a clever little piece of engineering that they did right there. But there you have Rodimus Prime in his vehicle mode, sans trailer. And while we have him without his trailer on, let's go ahead and bring him in this mode and take a look at all those details. So yeah, I think this is a definitely a cool looking little hot rod Rodimus Prime kind of vehicle. It falls apart a little bit here in the back, but really, I mean, he connects to the trailer and he becomes the super ultra mega deluxe Winnebago. So, you know, I'm not too worried about it. And there he is from the top. There he is from the bottom. But overall, yeah, I mean, I like the looks of this. And of course, you know, you could, if you wanted to, you could, in this mode, you could just have the flames coming off here. So you could totally just put those on if you want him rolling coal in this mode. And he does have the effects ports right here, so if you wanted to do, I don't know, whatever, you know, something like that, you could totally do it. It's up to you. But yeah, I think this is a good looking car mode. Now, what we'll do is we will go ahead and bring the trailer in. And since we've already seen the details on this, we're just going to put these two guys together. And not much to it, really. You're going to bring him in. You have this spring-loaded tab right there. That's going to go right into that slot at the top. And then you're going to lock him in with the exhaust. So let's go ahead and bring that in. Give him a little push there. And there you go. There you have Rodimus Prime in his Super Ultra Mega Deluxe Winnebago Commander Class RV. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I've always thought this is kind of a goofy looking vehicle. You know, it's not really reminiscent of anything that you typically would see on the road. But hey, it's his own, and it's without a doubt it is Rodimus Prime. So looks very cool. Yeah, there we go. And I do like this. These are spring loaded, so when you open that trailer up, these get out of your way and then they go right back to where they're supposed to go. So that's a good feature as well. And there he is from the back. I still get a little bit of that trailer gap. It still annoys me, but oh well. All right, and in this mode, of course, you can totally open this up and do whatever you want to do with it. You know, if you wanted to, you know, have the roller in there, if you wanted to just throw all the effects in there to keep them stored, you could do something like that. Totally up to you. And if you felt so inclined, you could also do something like this. So let's go ahead and open this up. Push that ramp down. And we'll bring in our stunt performer, Mr. Cup. And bring him on in. Park him right there. Close the ramp. Close this. Close the back. And voila! You have a Cup and a Rodimus. So there you go. I mean, if you want to do something like that, go for it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the alt mode comparisons and see how this guy looks compared against some of the other figures. So for our first comparison, here we have the Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus Prime next to the Power of the Primes Leader Class Rodimus Unicronus, the evil, corrupted Rodimus Prime from that universe. Next we have the Kingdom Warfare Cybertron Leader Class Ultra Magnus. So this is Ultra Magnus in his Earth truck mode. And yeah, you can definitely see the difference here in scale between a Leader Class and a Commander Class. Next we have the Leader Class Kingdom Galvatron. So you can see how those two rivals look next to each other. Next up we have the Studio Series Deluxe Class Hot Rod from the Studio Series 86 line. And I don't care what anybody says, these guys are from the same universe. This is Hot Rod, who then became that Rodimus Prime. These two just look phenomenal together. Next up we have the Kingdom / Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. So you can see how those two guys look together. And last but not least, here we have the OG, the original Rodimus Prime. So while I have him here, we're going to go ahead and get a little more in-depth comparison here between the two of these figures here, just so we can see all the similarities and then all the differences, you know, that what 35, 36 years make. So let's go ahead and line these two guys up so you can see just how much of an homage was done in this figure. I mean, the flames, the coloring, you know, the little bump here, you know, all of this, even some of the panel lines here, they've tried to replicate here a little bit. I think this looks great. What a nice rethinking, retooling of Rodimus Prime here. So this figure is just, it blows me away just how much engineering is in this, and yet how they were able to make it look so much like the original. So let's take a look at him from the back. Gonna give you one of those views. Yeah, wow, that's just cool. I mean, I'm a kid again seeing this. This is just the it's so much fun. I don't words escape me at this point, but yeah. So even taking it a step further, you know, let's go ahead and open him up. Oh, I have to take that out to open him up. We don't have to do that on this one. I mean, even there, you can see what they've done, especially if you know, put roller in there, which I will do now. I mean, that's just so cool. All right, I'm done fawning. So let's go ahead and get him out of here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk weapon storage before we get into the effects. And for the two primary weapons, you have your sword and you have your rifle. The sword is the more elegant of the two storage solutions. So let's go ahead and start with that. So you're simply just going to plug the sword in down here. So you have these two slots right in the middle of the sword, and on either one of these legs you have a couple of tabs. So you just line those up, give that a squeeze, and there you have your sword out of the way. And it does give you enough clearance where you can still roll. So it's not a lot of clearance. You're not going to take this guy off-roading, but he still rolls. Now, as far as the rifle goes, this one isn't my favorite weapon storage, but we'll take a look at it anyway. So you're going to fold the rifle up and give it a squeeze as such. And then right here on the sides, you have some pegs. And per the instructions, you can plug this in if you want to do so. But yeah. Now, it looks better when it's not in, he doesn't have his trailer on. So if you disconnect him from his trailer, you can take it and you can put it on, you know, maybe like that to get it out of your way. But I still don't like that weapon storage at all. So I kind of get the feeling ultimately what most people are going to do is just open this up and chuck it in. So there you go. That's weapon storage for Rodimus Prime. So let's go ahead and talk about those effects, and we'll plug him back in. Give it a squeeze, and there we go. All right, so, you know, really, you've got ports all over this guy, so if you wanted to, you could, you know, you could take roller, you could plug him in up here, you could do something like that, and then just have a party with him if you wanted to do that. I'm not a big fan of that. I like the traditional G1 style where it's inside the trailer. So, as we mentioned earlier, you do have your smokestack effects. So you can take those and plug those in if you want. And you can have something like that going on. And in the back, who doesn't love flames coming out of the exhaust, right? So you absolutely, positively can have some flames coming out. So he's diesel, but he's hitting the nitrous. there you go. Whatever your imagination, whatever you want to say. So there you go. So and then as far as the rest of the ports, you know, you could do. He's taking fire. You know, he's taking fire. He's taking fire. He's taking fire. So if you want to do something like that and just have him getting bombarded, hey, have at it. Have a good time. All right, that's it for the effects on the weapon storage. So let's go ahead and get him transformed back into his bot mode and keep this moving. So let's get Rodimus transformed into his robot mode, shall we? Now the first thing that you want to do, if you haven't already done so, is go ahead and take those weapons off if you have them stored on Rodimus, and then you're going to want to just separate the vehicle from the trailer. So give it a pull, and if you've done it right, it latches in very securely. Give it a nice pull like that. Set your trailer off to the side, and you're left with this. So what you want to do here is you have these little tabs. You're going to want to undo those tabs on both sides. That's going to allow this to raise up and out of your way. Now you have access to the legs. So while you're here, go ahead and turn this around 180 degrees, and you just fold it down that way to keep it out of your way. And we will focus on the legs. Now what you want to do for these legs is you want to kind of get these feet up and out of your way and give these legs a split. And when you do that, you have this little tab in here, tabs into this component. So spread those out, and then that's gonna allow you to open that leg up, and then you're just gonna bring this leg down on that double hinge and extend it out like that. After you've done that, take this wheel, give it a push. That's going to give you the clearance that you need to put this wheel assembly in the back of his leg. So give that a little twist and shove that in there like that, and then bring this over and close that up. And now for the foot, you're simply just going to extend that toe and then push the foot back up. And we'll do the same thing on the other side here. So make sure those are split. Open this up, bring that leg down, push that tire in, or that wheel in, and then fold all this into the back of his leg. And close that up right there. Bring in that toe. Now on my copy, for some reason, this one is a little stubborn. He does not want to stay latched. So if that pops out, sorry. All right, so after you've done that, now you can just come up here, pull down on that a little bit. That's going to allow the top of the car to move, and we're going to move that back on that double hinge right there. And then you're going to pull these arms and bring those away. Do that on both sides. And before you go any further, because this is an easy step to forget, let's go ahead and put these wheels in their proper form for robot mode. So this one's already opened up. You open that up a little bit, and then you have a little tab on that wheel, and it's going to correspond to the slot right there. So you're just going to push that wheel up into the wheel well, and then put that tab and slot together. And now that wheel is locked in place. It's not going to move on you. Do the same thing over here on this side. So find the gap, shove that up, and then put that tab in that slot, and then you're going to lock your wheel in. There you go. All right, so we have both of those done. Now that we've done that, you can bring this chest assembly down and get that out of your way. And your next step here, bring these arms up so they're kind of at a T, because you're going to need to spin this sub-assembly down or around 180 degrees. So you need to make sure that you can clear everything. So if you hold him right there, spin that around 180 degrees. Just on that axis right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring these arms down, and then we're going to take this little black section and we're going to fold that up and tuck that away right in here. So kind of give that a fold, give it a little bit of a push, and then you have a tab and a slot, and you're going to give that a nice push and lock that into place so you have something that looks like that. All right, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Bring that in, bring it down, give it a good squeeze. It's kind of hard to do with my camera in the way. There we go. All right, so now you have those two completed, and the next step here is to bring this assembly up. And when you do this, there's a bit of a trick to it. So as you bring this assembly up, you're going to want to make sure that this gray piece is angled down a little bit into the back of Rodimus, and you're going to want to give that its own separate click. So if you reach right here, give that a little push till you feel that soft click right there, then you can bring this right on up, and that will lock right into place. Now back here, you have on the underside of that windshield, you have a slot, and you have that tab right back there. You're going to line those up, give that a push, and now you have Rodimus all secure right there. Now we'll come down here to the legs, turn those around 180 degrees so everything's oriented correctly, and then we'll tuck this backpack away. So you bring the backpack up, you have these three little notches right here that are going to go into this slot. So bring that up, get everything lined up where it should be, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to see, but once you get it there, you'll actually feel it pop in. So let's get that locked in, shall we? There we go. So that's locked in, and now you're going to bring these tabs down and just place them right there. There we go. All right, and the last steps we have, we're just cleaning up these arms. So let's bring one of these arms out. You're going to bring this little piece down. You're going to lift this up, and you're going to swing this around 180 degrees. When you do that, you're now going to tuck the arm away. Oops, excuse me. Swing this out as well. There we go. So now you're going to tuck the arm away, give that a click, and then right here you have a little tab going to a little slot right there, and give that a push, and then that will lock it in, and there you have one arm complete. So let's do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to bring this down, going to bring this up 180 degrees, swing this piece out, bring that down right there, lock it in, and lock it in right there. All right, so there you have Rodimus Prime transformed and ready to go in his robot mode. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll bring in some comparisons for the bot modes. So to start off the robot mode comparisons, I thought what we would do is bring in a couple other Commander class figures so you can get a kind of a well-rounded view of what Hasbro and Takara classify as Commander class for the War for Cybertron trilogy. So starting over at the right, you have the Siege Commander class Jetfire. On the far left, you have the Earthrise Commander class Skylynx, and in the middle you have the Kingdom Commander class Rodimus Prime. So I'll leave it up to you guys if you think Rodimus should have been a Commander class. He's definitely bigger than a leader, but I don't know if he... I just don't know if he sizes up to the other two Commander class figures. But you do get a ton of accessories with him, so I'll leave that up to you guys. But there you have 3 Commander class figures from War for Cybertron for a comparison. And for our next comparison, here we have the Kingdom Commander class Rodimus Prime next to what was at the time considered to be a leader class Evil Rodimus Unicronus from the Power of the Primes trilogy. So you can see how those two stack up next to each other. Next up we have Rodimus Prime compared to the Kingdom Leader class Ultra Magnus. So from an actual figure size standpoint, you know, I think Rodimus is definitely leaning more on the leader class size, but I guess due to all the accessories and the trailer and everything that you get with him, that's how Hasbro was able to classify him as Commander class. Next up, here we have Rodimus beside the Kingdom Leader class Galvatron. And boy, I gotta tell you, this is cool. It's pretty amazing seeing these two guys together with the modern engineering and the screen accuracy that we're seeing now. So really, really cool. Love seeing these two guys together. And here we have Rodimus Prime next to his younger, smaller self. This is the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. And similar to what I said about Galvatron, wow, just seeing these two figures beside each other is really, really quite amazing. And you can see so many similarities in the similarities in the transformation and the paint apps and everything that they've done here. There's no doubt in my mind that these two figures belong in the same universe. And simply because he knew that lad had potential, here we see the Studio Series 86 Cup next to the Kingdom Rodimus Prime. Here we have him compared to the Leader class Earthrise and or Kingdom Optimus Prime. And here we have him compared to the OG, the original Rodimus Prime that I've had in my collection for 35, 36 years now. So just look at how far we've come in engineering and design and quality. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I loved this figure when I was a kid, but my gosh, look at that. What a great opportunity. I'm so happy that we're able to see the evolution from this to this. Absolutely astounding. And finally, just for fun, I thought I'd go ahead and kind of throw an ensemble family photo or a video snapshot together to commemorate the 1986 movie. So gathered up my characters between the Studio Series 86 and Kingdom and decided I would do this little family photo here. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, that'll do it for the robot mode comparison. So let's go ahead and talk about those final thoughts. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Commander Class Rodimus Prime. This one's a no-brainer. You gotta pick him up. I mean, this figure is everything we were hoping for when he was announced. The transformation is fun, it's smooth, it's not frustrating. The bot mode looks absolutely incredible. Great articulation, great attention to detail, screen accuracy, it's all there. He does have a couple of minor weak points. For me, the vehicle mode doesn't look quite right, and there are a few gaps here and there, but for the most part, I couldn't have asked for anything more in a mainline figure. I mean, this is almost masterpiece level engineering and quality that we have right here in front of us right now. He comes with a ton of accessories. You can do all kinds of stuff with that trailer and with his roller and his guns and everything. And just the overall presence of this figure is second to none as far as mainline figures go. So, I guess if I were going to nitpick, I would have liked to maybe have seen him look a little bit younger. He does look kind of weathered and aged in the face. Maybe a little bit older than what we saw him or remember him from the 86 movie. But it doesn't detract from the figure at all. I mean, this thing looks absolutely fantastic next to the other figures from the 86 line. So the Studio Series 86 or the Kingdom line, where they've inserted a few of those like Cyclonus, Galvatron, and so on and so forth. So yeah, if you have the opportunity, pick this guy up. Now, this was a pre-order. I picked him up on pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store for retail. I think retail is $79.99, so $80 US, and I think it's worth it. He's a little small for a Commander Class sized figure, but he does come with a ton of accessories, and the engineering and the care that they put into this figure, for me, makes up for it. So yeah, if they're available, order them online. If you see one in the store, pick it up. I don't think you're going to regret it. This is the figure I think a lot of us were waiting for such a long time. So this is the benchmark for figures moving forward. I think anything less than a figure at this level, especially in the Commander Class price point, I think Hasbro's going to have some trouble on their hands if they try to give us anything less than. This is a heck of a benchmark that they've set here. So With that, in short, definitely if you see him, pick him up. You are going to love this figure. This is a blast. So that's going to wrap up the review, guys. So as I always say, if you haven't already done so, be sure to like, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, let us know what you want to see, things we could be doing better to improve the channel. And as always, thanks for your support. This is more and more fun, and I've said it before, and I mean it. We're going to keep bringing reviews like this to you guys, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn your alerts on so you know when we pump some of these out. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I am actually going to enjoy the rest of my day. I'm going to put this guy on my shelf. I'm probably going to take a few photos and post them to the Facebook page and have a little bit of fun there. So until we see you guys in the next review, take care.